Welcome. In this study, we're going to create a Microsoft Access database and then use a couple of tables to extract some data so that we can proceed with the ultimate data set generated by a query here in Access to do statistical analyses, and that'll be in a separate recording. Okay, so what I've done is when you first open Access, it comes up with this screen, and I just clicked on this folder over here to find the location where I wanted to put the file, and I've put the file name in here once I was in that window and found my directory. Then we simply click Create. And that should be the default directory, so now when I go to External Data tab up here, and note this is Access 2007-2010. So however you get to the external database, data, and so you see this arrow here is bringing it in. Don't confuse it with these over here where you're sending it out. So we are bringing external data in, and it's going to be Excel files that I want to bring in. I'll have to search for that directory again. I was mistaken. Let's see if I can recall it here. I'm gonna have to go look for it. Okay, so I have the ones that end with the DB, so I'm going to bring in the pathway that has the lists of our metabolites in this case. Okay. And there's only one sheet that we're bringing in. Okay, go to Next and check the box. First row has the column headings, and they're coming in as text. You let Access add the ID number, the primary key. And we just name it pathway list or pathways, but anyway, we know what it is. Okay, so that created a new table. I'm just going to close table 1 now, and it disappears once we have another one in there. Now we go back to external data, and now it'll bring us back to the same directory. And I want to bring this in here, open, and say OK. And here I have it a couple of ways. And this is the one that has the so our first row is so it has the metabolites in one column, and then the values for each individual subject for each of those metabolites in subsequent columns. And so when we set up the query, it's going to have to match an item in this column with an item in the column of the pathway sheet. So it's sheet 2 that we choose here. First row. Next, and then we let the Access choose the primary key. And this is the GAG TTM metabolite levels. So we now have our 2 tables. Now what we can do is go to Create tab. When we're on the Create tab, we go to Query Design. And we add, I'll put the pathways list first, and then the TTM second. So here's all of our subjects. Here's this, and in this case what I want to pull out are the steroids. Where did it go? Steroid synthesis. Okay, so steroid synthesis will be a column in that table with all the metabolites of that particular pathway listed underneath it. And when I click it to the column, so I'm clicking here and holding, separate these so you can see the line that was created. So I had clicked on steroid synthesis, held my left click button on my mouse down. So click and hold and then drag, and then you drop the connection to metabolite, and it creates this. So I can just highlight this and delete it and show you that again. So you click here and hold, and then drag and drop it at what you want it to link with over here. If you want to know what that's doing, you can click on it. If I can get my fingers to do it right. And you can see the conditions include only include rows where the joined fields from both tables are equal, and that's what we want. There's some other conditions there, and you can read it over and play with it and see how it works, but we just want to get this done. Okay, at some point I must have double clicked on this and it just automatically added it down here, right? So here, one thing I can do is I can sort these, so when I bring them down, they're separated into control, incipient, moderate, and severe. But I'm not going to do that now, because the R code will help to do that. The statistical analysis will do it automatically. But this is a point where you can sort them if you know what they are. They should be coded so that you don't know what they are, so you're doing an unbiased study, but let's not worry about that. So there we are. I just selected all of them, dragged, dropped, and it populated all those columns. So we just generated our query and the query report table. There's some other things that you can do down here. You can come to an empty cell and you can right click on that, and you get other actions as well. You can investigate those things, but for now we just want to bring our values down, because out of all the metabolites in our results table over here, we only want the ones for a particular pathway. So now what I like to do is just save this, and I'm not going to give it any name since this is the only one I'm going to do here. Oh yeah, well, because we could come back and this is the steroids, right? So later we can come back and look at it if we want to do anything with it. Then we have our views over here in the top left, and you can see there's data sheet, pivot, SQL, and the design. Right now we're in design. What we want is the data sheet. So I could have just clicked on the image up there. But I want to go back to the design view. One of the reasons that we want this ID in here is that we can sort according to that. See, it's not in the sequence, so I don't know why it doesn't keep that original sequence, but if you use that ID, then you can come in here and just click on the sort, oh, okay, yeah, I was looking for the number 1, but again, we're pulling out random ones, and that's probably why they're not in the order. Oh, I got the wrong ID. That's what it is. Okay. That's not the ID that I want. So I want to delete this one. I'm just going to hit the delete button. This is the ID I want. I want them listed as they are here, because they may not be in the correct numerical sequence in here. They're just in alphabetical order in this one. Okay, let's see what we have now. Yeah, there you go. So this is the sequence. The early precursor for steroid synthesis is cholesterol in the outer mitochondrial membrane. It moves to the inner mitochondrial membrane and then goes through these various pathways to show us what's happening there. I was just going to go and take a look at that pathway, but anyway, you can look up that pathway if you want. So just save it again. Now what we can do with that to prepare it for our data analysis, statistical analysis, is we go to external data again and we export it as an Excel file, and it's going to go into the same folder as an Excel file, and we send it there. Okay, so what we did in this was we created our file. We brought in our two tables, one that gives us the source of information to initiate our query, and then the target of our query to extract data from. We set up our query and generated the report table, and now we just exported it. You can change these and stuff. So notice again with a database, the columns and the rows are locked. So the columns are fields and the rows give us a record. So if I click on this one, if I go back to home, I can sort on that and see everything goes along with it. So we still have the 10 and all these zeros and the 3. If we sort here, number 10 with all the zeros and the 3 and the 11. Right? And if we sort here, just it's the 10 is the 11 and then all the zeros. Okay, so I hope that helps you understand how to create a database in Access, Microsoft Access. Bring in your data tables. I can show you the pathway lists. So this is what we had, all the different pathways, and here's steroids. So we said start by looking at all of these words in all these records here, right? And then anywhere in this column here, in this field that you find a matching record, extract it and organize it in this way and then pull the numbers out with it. So that's what we did. And now we can go to our statistical analysis software. We're going to use R, and I'll provide an R code for that to analyze and ask whether there's any statistically significant difference for any of these across all these 4 groups. We've got age match control, incipient, moderate, and severe subjects with the sample size of each. Okay, thanks for your attention. Hope you enjoyed the presentation.